All right, everybody. I've got Mr. Tommy Mello in the house for his second round on our podcast YouTube channel. Tommy, how we doing today?
Fantastic. Things are great. Excited about this year. Very excited, actually. It's going to be phenomenal. I really feel like the way that this January started, just like you, it's popping off big for us. So it's great.
Yeah, man. You just told me it's called the Trump pump. We're seeing growth through businesses. You want to touch on that? What are you guys seeing?
I talked to my COO earlier. It's funny because on Fridays, um, our place is like a ghost town, but me and him are always here. And he's like, dude, we did a little price increase. We didn't go crazy in January. Well, we don't do one price increase for the year. We usually do a few. We don't try to culture shock our people. But this month is killing it, man. Record after record, whether it's a day, the week, and it looks like it's going to be a heavy record for the month. We're seeing higher opportunity job averages. I just think the consumer spending is going to be a lot stronger. Plus, there's a lot of money that's been sitting on the sidelines. There's, from my understanding, $4 to $5 trillion. Private equity has not had good years. The last 2 years, as far as acquisitions and getting investing, just not a lot of deal flow. So I think this is going to be a massive deal flow year. I think there's going to be a lot of money coming out of the woodworks. And that's great for the economy. That's great for me. That's great for America. That's great for Canada. That's great for consumer spending. That's great for everything. So I feel really good about this year. My Goldman guy uh, left yesterday. He was here for 4 hours talking to me, and he said, we feel really, really great about this year. And every month, the possibility of us going into a recession goes down. So they got it at about 15% chance. There's always a chance, but we're looking solid, and I'm very, very excited.
I love it, man. Thanks for the energy to kick us off. We're up to about 20,000 monthly downloads on our podcast, man. Mostly home service business owners, much smaller than you. The last time you came on, people were raving for months and months. I appreciate you coming on, man. And the first topic I want to throw your way, you've got this famous quote. It says, "I may not necessarily outwork you, but I can out delegate you." That's the first thing I'd love you to go off on. How has delegation got you to where you are today?
I look up to really people always ask me, like, if you had got to meet one person, who would it be that's alive today? And Elon Musk, I don't think the guy is he's very, very smart. I think he could outperform people's brain than, really, I believe he's very smart. But he's the CEO of so many different things. Now he's helping out with this Doge and the whole politics. He was playing a video game, came in like the top spot. I don't know, that was kind of been debunked, but like the guy, he's all over TV. He's sending, hopefully humans to Mars. He's giving third world countries internet. He's got the robotics line coming out in 2027, which will be nutty. I feel like that guy understands how to get other people to run towards his dreams, but you got to give them a stake in the outcome. So delegate. Look, I could work really, really hard, dude. There was days in my life that I put in 15 hours of straight, hard mental work. There were times where I've done 8 repairs to garage doors in a day, and I did very well. I didn't build the relationships I like to build. I think 3 is the optimal number, but I've been the hardest worker at a lot of places and a lot of times in my life. And then I realized, even if somebody could do something 70% of what you could do, but you could get 1,000 people doing it, no one's going to be able to keep up with that. So my job is to be the visionary and to get people to buy into my vision, my dream, my goals. And then there's something in it for them. So delegating is not dumping. Delegating is telling people why it needs to get done, making sure they are bought into the why. A lot of times people say, here's a project. This is what we're going to do. I try to pull in and make it their idea. And then when it needs to get done by. And the biggest thing is their commitment and their buy-in, and they sign off on it, and they know what resources they have to get it done. And it's not like you don't have to read my mind, because if you had to read my mind, if I said, hey, book me a ticket to, Philadelphia, there's no airlines. Do I like nighttime? Do I mind stopping in Atlanta? Do I want to sit first class? Do I hate aisle seats? Do I have my TSA number in there? Is there a clear number in there if I rather clear? There's a lot of things. What hotel am I staying at? Do I need a gym at the hotel? Do I need a nice restaurant at the hotel? Do I want to stay closer to the airport or closer to where I need to go? all these things when people say, book me a ticket. And then they get so mad at their executive assistant when it's not perfect. Like they're supposed to read their mind. So I'm
Sure.
big into the idea of everything I do right now is figuring out how to have other people do it. I mean, everything. I've got a driver now. I've got a chef. I mean, we've got a house manager. I've actually applied these things in business to my personal life.
Yeah. Is it true you have like a barber chair in your house too, so you don't even need to leave to get a haircut? Someone was telling me that.
Yeah, I don't leave to get haircuts. No, I literally like within the next year I won't leave. Whether it's massages, whether it's a pedicure, everything's gonna happen at my house. Like they come to me. Everything I do, the facials, and I'm not really like people are like, dude, do you really do all that stuff? Yeah, I wanna. I'm dating a.
You want to look
I'm
good? You want to feel good?
I'm engaged to a 26-year-old. I got to do these things.
There you go, man. Fiance. Congratulations. That's exciting.
Yeah, that happened last week. It's a big deal. I'm excited.
Man, that's awesome. We'll get some good comments coming in for that. That's awesome. So when you're delegating though, Tommy, like owners have a lot of ego, right? Business owners. So if you're handing off a task, are you okay then just knowing they're not gonna like you could probably do it a little bit better than them, but you're still dishing it off anyways with parameters? Is that what you're saying?
Well, the question is if you find yourself micromanaging your direct reports, it's the wrong people. So if you're not hiring people that are better than you, look in the mirror and what the hell are you doing? I mean, Jordan Peterson would smack you around. The fact is, if you're not finding somebody, like you must have a ton of ego in your life to say, I hire somebody way dumber than me. When I hire somebody that comes on my team, I'm like, I could give it to them and I know they're going to be able to do it way better than I can do it, especially my direct reports. I mean, you're talking about VP or C-suite level. A lot of times people, they've got this insecurity and they're going to hire somebody, you'll never be as sharp as me. Two reasons why: ego and they can't afford a great person.
Hmm.
And I get it. Trust me, you got to start somewhere. But ultimately, your final destination, your goal is to say, man, this CFO, this bookkeeper, this controller could outperform me all day long on these type of tasks. This
Yes.
operator, the COO, could outperform me in their sleep on these type of tasks. Right now, I've got a couple full-time project managers to hold tight deadlines, to keep on people, to make sure we're going to hit when I say so. There's not like, as a visionary, we usually have ADHD. We're dreaming around. We're not super organized in our schedule, and we don't hold tight deadlines, but we expect everyone else to hold our deadlines for us. But you got to lead by example. If you've got a messy desk, everybody's desk is allowed to be messy. If you park in the handicap in your building and then you get mad when someone else is parked there, like lead by example. If you want everybody to look good with their shirts tucked in, come into work with your shirt tucked in. If you don't want anybody smoking up front, you better never be smoking up front if you're a cigarette smoker or whatever
Totally.
stuff you're into.
So let's say, Tommy, you got a small owner operator right now and they're growing. Let's say they've got $20,000 in the bank account and they've traditionally done stuff themselves. Would you encourage them to say, look, and they don't have an assistant right now. So they're picking up the phones, they're routing on their CRM, they're doing all that stuff. Do you think in your journey, was there a dollar amount Tommy saved where you're like, I actually need to go get some people? Or were you always from day one, like, Tommy needs to get off the tools and hire out? Like, how does that correlate to money? Because it's exactly what you said. I don't have the money to hire, so I'll just keep bashing my head against the wall. So how does that tie into money in the bank account?
Well, you mentioned something really important, an executive assistant. And I think the problem with an executive assistant is people don't understand, they don't trust. But if you got really good, and I'm talking really, really good, and you gave them a lot of tasks, and I'm talking your social media post, you're handling your email, the monotonous tasks we do all day that waste, they're just a time suck. They get us off pace. The first thing is getting an EA. And I don't care if you're over a couple $1,000,000 of revenue, you need an EA. The question is, do you trust them? Is you get them? They've got a lot of confidential information. Like mine has access to my bank accounts. I've got two of them. Like they've got access. They just wrote the checks that I needed signed today. Just I don't ever sign checks. This is random. I lost 2 bets to a couple guys that work here. It's a push-up contest, but um, I was busy getting engaged. I wasn't able to do as many push-ups as I wanted to do. But all I had to do was sign the checks. Like they've got access to a lot of stuff, so there's a lot of trust there. Uh, but one thing I'll do for you and your audience is reach out to me in my EA, and I'll give you the 8 steps of delegation, the forms I use. And I think it's very, very powerful. And the commitment, the sign off, the say, when you got to sign your John Hancock to something and say I'm responsible with the date and when it's responsible for, there's a lot more commitment there.
Yeah, I love that, man. Thanks for the generosity there. We'll link that up, and I'm sure our audience is gonna love that. I wanna you're hitting on a few things, man, that sound a little I'll call it Dan Martell-esque, and I caught up on you guys' YouTube video, and it looks like you were doing some coaching with him. I actually just joined his group coaching program 2 weeks ago. It's been phenomenal. I want to hear you though, man, on personal growth and again back to investing in ourselves. How is you being in like the right room with a coach or a mentor, how has that helped grow you? Or are you just naturally like, I don't really believe in paying someone, I'll just scale up and I'll hire someone when I have the money? How has growth led itself to where you are today?
Yeah, well, think about it. Like, I've got I had a ping pong coach. Right now I've got bags cornhole coach. There's a coach for everything. There's specialists for everything. Whether you want to become a financial planner, you want to be better on how you structure your bank accounts, you want to just get better with time. Um, I've got two separate trainers. I've got a nutritionist. I go to the best. I find the best. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I'm not just going to read a book and become an expert. I want to have like how do I jump? If there's a ladder with 20 prongs, how do I jump from number 2 to number 15 to number 20 on the prong? I don't want to go step by step. So the way that you kind of cheat time, you buy time, is by hiring a mentor and a coach. And I don't like a jack of all trades either. I find a specialist. So Dan really helped me apply what I know in business to my personal life. That's what Dan said. Look, we did the first couple of months, we did a lot of math and a lot of brainstorming and a lot of dreaming, basically. And that's when I hired a driver and I got a massive Mercedes Sprinter I get to work to now. And I bought back about 12 hours of time a week there. The chef just made sense. Everything I've done with Dan Martell has been like, okay, how do I get a little bit more systematic on everything outside of business? Because I was always systematic with manuals, SOPs, checklists in business. I just never applied it to my personal life. So he's helped a lot. I probably millions and millions of dollars a year I invest either into coaches, trainers, um, and going to certain events. I speak at a lot of events. I'm invited to a lot of things, but I'm always trying to be the dumbest guy in the room, and I'm trying to be the most curious guy in the room. So I think it's important that you're always trying to become the best. And by the way, I'm not into being well-rounded at all. I don't try to learn how to be the best CFO. I'm never going to be the best at operations. I'm going to focus on marketing, sales, and culture. And I'm going to stay in my lanes. And Dan asked me the other day, he said, if you wanted to 10X this year or 20X, what are some of the things, write down 10 things you would need to do. What would need to be true? And I said, well, I'd have to be the best recruiter on the planet. And I have to be the best recruiter, I have to be the best interviewer, because it would need more people. And an A-plus player will make you go straight up. Like if you want to grow, good employees, they make you do okay. Like they just kind of, they're never on your radar, but they don't get fired. I need to get people that can just quantum leap the business.
Yeah.
So that's important. What else would need to be true? I'd have to be very thankful to the people I do have. I'd have to have very little turnover. I'd have to be an excellent project manager. I'd have to know how to make the phone ring off the hook. I'd have to quadruple the amount of leads, increase the booking rate, increase the conversion rate, and increase the opportunity job average. That 10X is the business.
Yeah.
So, KFC opens a new store every 11 hours.
Wow.
And I thought a lot about that. I'm like, can you imagine if I could open up a new location every 11 hours? The business would be printing money, but what would have to, like, they picked the right location, they got the right teams, they got the right, they know what the revenue is going to be the first year within like 3%.
Sure.
So it's possible. It just takes a lot of planning, thinking, working on the business versus working in the business. But I think about this stuff all the time. And mentors are like, if you're not inspired by the people around you, it's a cage. So you better figure out how to be. I jump from circle to circle to circle, but it's always going up. It's always going up. And people are like, well, what happened to your last circle? Well, they're still acquaintances. I just extracted everything I know. It's not like we're talking about becoming best friends and hanging out every night. And like, if you think about your circle and you're as busy as I am, it's not like you're going to the movies and golfing every day. Like I'm in a mastermind with people, or I'm in a group of people, and then like I move to the next one. And then we don't like, oh, that guy's an asshole, he left us. No, I was the number one guy. Well, I went from the bottom to the top. Now I had to move back into the bottom at the next The net that
Yeah, so it shows the growth and the progression. Makes sense. I know Dan said on one of our calls, all a business owner, CEO needs to focus on is three words: vision, people, and money. What's your thoughts on that, and how does that fit in your role? Because I just watched one of your YouTube videos. You were going on about, guys, all I'm doing is vision. Like, do you mind touching on that? And even Tommy, pinging it back to like younger Tommy, were you always visionary when you were just getting this thing going, or how did that work out?
when you start out, you don't have any money. You got to do the job. Like there's no way, like you can be as much visionary as you want, but you're still stuck in the job. I didn't have any money. My parents didn't give me any money. I had no trust. I had no houses. I had no nothing. I had debt from college. I had a credit card. I didn't have anything. So it's called sweat equity. And you do the work. And you have to. You got to start at the bottom. You got to have every job. See, the difference is when you make it, now I can start 20 businesses because I can hire top down. I could go get the best CEO and COO on the planet. They hire everybody else. I could afford that. But when you're starting out, you've got to have every role. You've got to say, listen, I got to answer the phones. I've got to do the dispatching. I'm going to have to do inventory. I got to figure out the fleet. I got to figure out the gas cards. I got to figure out the price book and the CRM. Like you have to. And I wasn't very good at it. I mean, I hated payroll. So that's the first thing I hired. I just didn't enjoy doing it. Uh, I would tell you where my time is. Yes, vision's super important. That's probably where I live in my brain 90% of the time, 99%. But I'm really focused on marketing. And marketing, if you look under marketing, it's recruiting as well. So, like, dude, nobody on the planet could make the phone ring like I can. I mean, we book over 20,000 jobs a month. I'll get that to 100,000 jobs by 2027 a month. So, like, that's not something, never let go of marketing, never let go of your financials. Keep it really detailed. Create checks and balances, create internal and external audits. Like, I trust everybody, but there's this thing called trust but verify. And set up the systems. You got to set those systems up. And money, I mean, I've been very, very fortunate, man. I mean, I always say I'm an overnight success of 2 decades, but, the business did north of 60 million of EBITDA. I'll get it to 120 by the end of next year in the rolling 12. And that business will be worth $2.5 billion. And I love Cameron Harold and I love Al Levy and I love my boy Dan Martell. His book's right there. And I love, Gino Wickman. I don't know a lot of people that are going to have valuations of multi-billions of dollars.
Yeah, it's amazing.
The funny thing is my mentors, I make more money than them. By the way, I will never be a one-on-one mentor unless I have ownership of the company. I have no use, even though I paid Dan a lot of money. I thought about this driving into work. I drove it in today, actually.
You drove today. Okay.
Today was the first time in a long time because my van the Mercedes van is getting some work done on it. New shocks, because when you go over a speed bump, it's crazy. So, and it's $7,000 for the shocks I'm getting. So anyways, but I was thinking, even though I pay Dan a few $100,000 a year and he's only got 6 students, I hope this doesn't get back to him, but that's only a couple $1 million. That gets him like 4 or 5 supercars.
Yeah.
Like, dude, if I spend as much time, and he doesn't spend a lot of time with me, the fact is I respect everything he says. The important thing for me, don't work with a mentor that you don't respect and you won't do the work. Like the people that I talk to, my trainer, if he says do one more rep, I'm doing it. If he says show up, I don't miss. I don't call in sick. I'm not too busy. Like that's the difference is you got to have ultimate respect. Like if I worked with somebody, which I wouldn't, people could beg, plead. I mean, I've got too much.
You're not doing it. Yeah, you're not.
I'm not doing it. And a couple $1 million a year, no offense. And Dan might say it's not about the money, but I know it is for Dan because I don't think he loves me. I don't think he's like, man, I got to work with that Tommy Mello guy. No, I put up the money and I show up to our calls and I shut up and I listen.
And he probably saw too how much you've crushed it in business, and he could probably lend a helping hand to say, Tommy, let's now flex the business systems in your personal life. I wouldn't mind going that way a bit, man, because we did get a few questions in from the audience. Like, I linked up with you at Huge Convention a couple years ago. You had a great talk, and you were really pushing more into health and getting in shape. And, myself, some of our members were in your Facebook group. That's a prevailing theme. I wouldn't mind. Do you have just capacity to do that more? If you talked to Tommy 15 years ago, do you wish you were like, bro, take your health seriously? So that I'm just curious where that shift came from. And if you went back, do you wish like you were plugged more into the health scene, call it your decade or two ago?
Yeah, obviously. So when I was in my early 20s, I worked at Gold's Gym. I was jacked. I don't even know now if I'm where I was. I can lift a lot more weight now, but dude, I was ripped. And when I walked in a bar, I walked into a wedding, or I walked anywhere, man, people looked, and I just knew. I would look around and I'd be like, yeah, I'm the guy. I'm the
Yeah.
shit. There's this instant, people know when you smile, like you believe in yourself, the way that you walk. And I lost that. I lost that for about 15 years. And it came back in the last 18 months. And I got to tell you, the way people look at you when I get on a plane, they're like, holy shit, dude, what do you eat? Like, how do you do that? Like, what do you lift? How you work out twice a day? And there's this not only respect, but this idea of this person's disciplined, that they're consistent. They've got great regimen. They've got great, when they wake up, they've got great habits. Uh, it's, it's automatic. You're a walking billboard. What I would have told myself is how important sleep is. Now, look, most of what I do, sleep helps me eat right. Um, I got to tell you, like, now I'm very fortunate because my bed's the best bed. My pillows are the best pillows. I've got everything right. The fans are perfect. I'll tell you this, when I don't have a chef, because I went about a month without having a chef, we went in between chefs. It's a lot easier when they cook every meal for you 7 days a week. And now he's got what's the app he puts everything into? He's got this app that it goes to my nutritionist, and we know exactly the carbs, basically, the carbs, the protein, and the fat. I've kind of stacked the deck. Everybody's got an Achilles heel, whether it's drinking, whether it's social media, whether it's watching TV, things that get in the way of you getting the stuff you want to get done, and going to bed early, or just getting the fitness in. So first thing I recommend is, if you don't do this, at least do this. If you don't walk 4 miles, at least do 2 laps around the block. If you don't get in your 150 push-ups you wanted to do, at least do 2 sets of 25. So no matter what you're going to do, so if you can't read a chapter, can you at least read 7 pages? Yeah. Like, so if not this, then this. Make time on your calendar. And Mel Robbins wrote a book called The 5-Second Rule. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, just do it. I think a lot of times people have a hard time just getting started. And it's such a hard time getting started. And if you just would start, everybody's looking for perfection. They're so afraid to get started, but perfection is the enemy of progress. But just get started. And it's mostly your diet. Like, health is a huge deal to me, but I was never like fat slobby. But I got to tell you, if I look at myself, I would never take off my t-shirt. I mean, I'd even swim in it sometimes. Like, I'd go to a pool party. The dudes would have their shirts off. The women would have, just a bikini on. And I'd be there with the only guy with my shirt on, because I didn't feel confident. And until you believe in yourself, no one else is going to believe in you.
100%. Thanks for the honesty. So if you go back, Tommy, 15 years, you're scaling A1, scaling to the moon. Do you wish you would have had like a block schedule and been like, I'm gonna eat better, work out? Because you've had success for a while now. Like, I'd love you to talk to the smaller guy or girl growing. Like, would you say dial it in now and you can grow a business, or do you think a lot of A1 success was you put health and fitness kind of aside and you're just like, I'm gonna build a rip rocking business?
So if you look at this, I call it this. I've kind of worked on this thing. I call it the 6 Fs: fitness, faith, family, future self, finance, and fun. And really, the only one you could delegate is the finance side of things. I was never well rounded. I say I was engaged to my business. I was married to my business. I was never going to let anything come between me and my business. And the reason why is my mom and dad got a divorce because of money. I've watched money tear fathers and sons apart. I've watched people never talk again. And I said, money, I'm going to get this out of the way. And it's not only money, it's this idea of just getting enough principal down to live off compound interest. And I sacrificed a lot. I sacrificed not having a family. I sacrificed not going to church every Sunday. I sacrificed not being able to read like I'd want to. I sacrificed not having a lot of fun and staying in when my buddies were going out and living below my means. And I wouldn't have done it any differently. I wish I could have worked out every day and prayed prayed and gone on trips with my mom and dad and sister. But I can't do everything. Like, people ask, like, the first thing a lot of people say, dude, I want to do what you did. I want to get to at least to 100 million. I go, okay, great. Awesome. Tell me you don't have kids. Please tell me you don't have kids. They're like, oh, I got 3. I'm like, then basically you don't want to watch them grow up. They get to 100 million in the next 10 years. If you want to watch them grow up, then let's get you to 20 million. Or you're going to have to do really good on hiring and not let them wear designer clothes and not drive a Mercedes and live in a much smaller house than you live in today. And I don't think you want that either. So there is sacrifice. I'd love to tell you, I wish I had a six-pack the whole way. Can you do it all? Yes, if you're the most disciplined person on the planet and you're getting educated and you're hiring all the right consultants and you're reinvesting in yourself all the time, could it be done? Absolutely. Is it the norm? No, you're 1% of the 1% of the 1%. Yeah. To even talk about 100 million, there's nobody I know. I don't know any companies that are doing over 100 million. We're going to do over 300 this year. I mean, I know of a few and there's some acquaintances, but, especially at 25% of the bottom line. Yeah, and people brag about revenue. They never talk about profit.
That's amazing, Tommy. I want to hear you on, I know we got about 10 minutes, man. On my reading and research, you sold about 20% of your business to about a group of 25 all-stars for your equity incentive plan. I'd love to just hear it. Correct me if I'm wrong on those numbers. I'd love to hear kind of your mindset of structuring that and then segue that into, man, if you see mistakes in the home service space that people sell off equity, because equity is a big buzzword. It's all in your book, Elevate, which I think is great. But I'd love to hear kind of your mindset behind selling equity or people. And also, man, like you made millionaires out of this, man. You changed family trees. So I'd love to hear kind of the why behind it as well, because more people are winning with this thing than just Tommy.
Yeah, so what it's called is an equity incentive program. It's similar to phantom shares or profit units. And the way that it works is you'll put a line in the sand of where your business is at today. So let's say your business, you're doing $2 million of EBITDA profit. Let's say the multiple in your space is 6x, your business is worth 12 million. That money's yours. No one's going to touch that money. That's the stake in the, the line in the sand. 12 million goes to you. Now let's say you give away 1%, the business goes to a worth of 100 million. Now there's an $88 million delta there. That person's going to get $880,000 on the change of control, 1% of 88 million. So I want everybody to understand perfectly. These people do not get voting rights. If they quit or get fired, they don't get the equity. They don't have any say about anything going forward, but there's a stake in the outcome for the success of the business. And there's a way for them to run as quick and fast as they could in the same direction. Everybody's rolling in the same direction. It's a way to get alignment. And there's this great book. It's called 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. It unscrews the company. It makes you focus on the big picture instead of your own department. So, the way I got into this was I got a mentor in about probably 2020, maybe 2019. And this guy worked for Cowan. His name's Eric Van Dam. And he had done either he was involved in or knew about every deal in HVAC, plumbing, electrical, roofing, gutters, you name it. And one day somehow I went on LinkedIn and he connected with me, and I never go on LinkedIn. It was like the random time I called him, and on my whiteboard over the course of 3 hours, I wrote down every deal, and it was small writing, and my whole whiteboard was filled up. It was HVAC, plumbing, electrical. It was, this person got 7X, this person got 8X. And then he said, have you ever thought about an equity incentive program? What lawyers do you use? We talked about the org chart and just what makes a company sellable, because there's a great book called Built to Sell by John Warrillow. He said, no matter what, he goes, what are you doing today? I said, I think I was 4.8 million at the time. He said, a guy like you, he goes, I'd love to work with you for free, but I won't let you sell until you get north of 20 million of EBITDA. So that was a fourth. This guy was planting seeds, watering them, fertilizing them, putting me in the sun, saying, I'll work with you. I'll earn your business, but let's get it to worth both of our whiles, right? So this is what people do. Smart people do an equity incentive program. I gave away 20% and I kept my valuation low. I kept 50 million was a stake in the sand for me. It was a line in the sand. So, it added up to be a lot. I did 30% was the structure. I ended up only giving 20% of it away. And I didn't give it away. People earned it. The best way to say it is these 25 people earned it. And now we've got profit units. Think about it. Every private equity company, venture capitalists, they give either 10 to 50% to the employees that help grow the business, the C-suite, the VPs, and the directors. When you go public, every single company I know gives stock incentives to their team. So this is normal. This is what people do. The problem is you can't just give it out like Tic Tacs. You gotta be very careful on the people, but it becomes a way to recruit and it becomes a way for people to never leave.
Yeah.
Because if you leave, it's gone. And people, when they come in, if you don't have a lot of money, like I didn't have a lot of money when I started the program, to just give somebody 350 grand a year. But I told them you could earn $4 million in the next 2 years because this is, and by the way, if you give away equity, like you do an EIP program, you got to have a plan on when you're going to sell. You can't just say, because the units mean nothing until there's a change of control.
Yeah, so the mindset of the owner needs to be geared towards sale. Otherwise, you own 2% of a company that the owner will never sell. What's the point then, right? That's when everyone cashes out.
Yeah, 100%. And by the way, I've made probably 20 investments in the last 2 years. And when I get involved, everyone knows I'm doing an EIP program from day one. We're starting
Right.
it.
20 in other companies, you're saying.
And
And is that in equity?
outside of A1. Outside of A1. Even if it's software related, the first thing I do is an equity instead of, if you want to ever be partners with me, it's the first thing we're going to do.
Yeah, I'll give you money, but it's almost like shark tanking your own deals kind of thing. You want some upside.
Well, no, the equity incentive program, I actually get diluted. I lose money by doing it because I'm buying in and saying I want the staff to have some of my shares because I want everybody running in the same direction. So I get diluted. I lose money, but now I got people that have owners next to their name. So they're sprinting. They got a stake in the outcome. They're talking to their husbands or wives and going, hey, let's go. This is what this does to our life when we, and plus some of these people have been there 10 years. They helped build the business to what it is today. They deserve something for that. I mean, it's the right thing to do. And
So-
I've done the math. I did way better by doing this than if I would have not done it.
Yeah, and I'm thinking too why brands eventually will franchise because they'll, get franchisees that have skin in the game. This is kind of your own way of getting your team to have skin in the game. Does that make sense? That's what you're doing here?
100%. That's it. That is 100% it.
Amazing. So you see a lot of mistakes, man, with business owners. You got people reaching out to you all the time. I'd love to just hear you on a common mistake. You're like, Dave, I hear of this every week, this mistake happening, because the level you're playing at, man, is so much higher than the average listener. So like, we're talking average business owner here, like from Tommy's mouth, this is super common. Fix this in your business in 2025.
Well, number one, I'll tell you where most people fail is they're unorganized. I mean, we got to be crazy to do what we do. We go to work sometimes 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. And some of us do that for 10 years. And, thank God in 2017, I met a guy looking at his book right now named Al Levy. It was the second or third guy I had on my podcast. I just started the Home Service Expert. And he came on and we met up and he said, show me your manual. Show me how people win. Show me the success guide for each role. And I didn't have it. And he said, show me how people do the garage doors consistently the same way every time. And I said, I don't have that. And he said, show me the org chart and show me how you have if your COO or general manager's out of town, who's covering it? Where's your depth chart? I said, I don't have that. He said, show me how you delegate. And I said, I don't have that. It was a broken record. So he worked with me for a couple of years. A 7-power contractor, Al Levy. He made things methodical. There was a tattoo policy. There was a hair policy. How you grow your beard. There was, if you needed time off, how you got PTO. There was, if you got hurt on the job, who'd you call? How was it done? I mean, everything. What happens if you come to work late? What are the repercussions? How do you get paid? There's all these things that people want to know and understand. How do you get out of the truck one day? Like we had to build these manuals, 70, 80 pages full of useful content. That's like the success guide, because like in the E-Myth, they talk about doing things the same way every time. So 7-power contractor is important. And a guy like me with ADHD, I need somebody to help keep me organized. I need somebody that's going to make, if I'm organized, things are put away, the calendar's figured out. I will be literally, and I know this sounds like an exaggeration, but it's not, but I'll be 10 times more successful. So getting the right people around you. Like I'm not much different than anybody listening right now. The difference is my team. Like I come into work, there's so many great people. It's taken me years. The first thing I needed to do is hire people smarter than me, like I said earlier.
But man, you've attracted those people though, right? That's the big thing. Like I think you walk in a room and people, you don't talk about this enough, man, in my opinion. Like it's your leadership that pulls people in, and you can get on a stage and talk and people are like, I'm like magnetized to that. So I think that's where I think you got to give yourself a bit of credit. I think that's people, as much as they love A1, I think they buy into you, Tommy, as well. I really do.
And I care, and they know I care, and they know that if they follow my footsteps, they're going to win. And it's been proven over and over again that I'm going to make you successful. If you got a will power, I'm going to find a way. You got a will, I'm going to find a way. And they know I care. And they know I'm not just bull crapping them. They know I'm not just in it for myself. They understand what I'm trying to do with them. So that's super important. Just real quick. So I told you the Al Levy story. I'll tell you a few quick things that I think is important because this is some of the newer things I'm working on. Well, Al Levy started to work with me. He fixed everything. He taught me just patience. He taught me how to build my own technicians, which is massive. One day he came in and he said, "Hey, dude, I took a picture of your rap." And I was like, "Okay, well, what'd you figure out?" He goes, it's really, really not good. Your brand is not good. Your signature is not good. Your yard signs aren't good. The billboard you just put out, not good." He goes, "I don't even know what you do." He goes, "It says springs, rollers, cables, bearings, bottom rubber, all this crap." He goes, "Not good." And I go, "Yeah, you're right. Well, what do I do?" He goes, "Call Dan Antonelli," because he had a company called Zoom Drains. And we happen to be very close to Gettle, still am with Ken Goodrich. And so I called Dan Antonelli, got rebranded. That changed everything. It changed the persona of the company. It changed. People remembered who we were. The ticket average went through the roof, the conversion rate, the booking rate. So I think a lot of small companies, they're just branded like crap. They look like a crappy brand. And, they're like, "I'm not going to pay 25 grand to get rebranded." And I'm like, there's a reason why you suck and you're the cheapest and nobody wants to spend money with you. It's because you look like the cheapest guy. It might as well see Hablo Espanol, free estimate for everybody. That's it. So branding is a lot. Another story, my buddy Kellen called me, now it's been a year ago. And the reason this is hot and heavy on my head is because we're meeting in February, the first week of February. And he goes, "I think I figured out Google's algorithm for the Google My Business page, the GVP." And I said, "Okay, dude, you figured it out." But here's what's crazy is I've sent him hundreds of people. Everybody calls me and says, "Oh my God, Tommy, like this changed my business." Like, I'm not kidding. Like, dude, I'm getting more leads. Like my buddy at Green Mango, just got like $100 million. He had not claimed a couple of his Google My Business pages. Like when you get a location, you pick it in the right spot. You got to get the right citation sites. You got to get the right amount of reviews. But what Kellen does with his PIN Parrot, PINPARROT, he said, "I think I figured it out. I got 5 locations with him. He gave me the 6th one free." And my VP of marketing, like 30 or 45 days later, goes, "Dude, what's going on?" We like tripled the amount of calls. We were already set up correctly. But what he does for other people is like Google is like God when it comes to lead gen. And what he helped me do is rank #1 on the GVP. Now, you leave your hours of operation 24/7, fix this, fix this, fix this. And then his thing, when you take a before and after picture, what happens is it feeds it to Google on your website. So he's got like this thing on your website that feed it unique content, and it helps rank on the GMV. So that was crazy, and that's probably the best ROI I've ever had. And then the last thing recently, I met this guy at my event, the Freedom event, which I'll tell you about in a minute. But this guy comes up to me at the Freedom event. We're on the top of this building at the VIP part of it, and I'm just blown away by this guy. He's like, "I used to get paid millions of dollars to work at Facebook at Meta," and he goes, "I started this software called Lace AI," and I'm like, "Okay," and I get pitched all the time, and I'm like, "You sound great," and his name's Boris. And I'm like, "So what's up with Lace AI?" And he's like, "Well, why don't I give you a sample?" So I've got a CTO. I've got a whole team that looks at technology. We probably look at 2 to 3 a week. I mean, we're looking at, you name it, the AI calling, like there's nothing quite there. So we looked at this Lace.ai, and my call center manager, who's also my dispatch manager, he's got managers underneath him, but he goes, "This is the best I've ever seen." So we ran it. The KPIs are so dead on. Like, it's crazy what this tool could do for coaching. And, you got to understand, we're going to do north of 300 million this year. Every percent we increase booking rate, 1% is $3 million of revenue.
Crazy. Wow.
And my mom used to answer phones for us, and the way in which we book the calls, get the client excited and say, "Oh," and the empathy and the voice inflections. And she go, I'm going to send out our best technician. You're going to love this guy. He's a handsome young devil. She would never say she's my mother. And she go, you give this guy a hug because he's one of our best and he's going to take care. And when I show up, I didn't realize they were putty in my hands. The customer was just so easy to close. Like they were going to do business after my mom got done talking to him. She was so sweet. She was so amazing. So I'm trying to get it to where a call center, everyone sounds like mom. And this software is helping me do that. And it's helping coach on the inflect because it's AI driven. So I got to give it up because when I use something, by the way, next time we talk, David, I'm probably going to give you 10 more tools I'm trying out and what I use. But I always tell these people, part of being in business with me and helping me win is I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to get you more business because I want you to be well funded. I want my vendors to do very, very well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
last thing I wanted to tell you is the Freedom event. And listen, go ahead.
Well, I'm just going to recap my listening skills, man. You got Al Levy, you rock systems. You hit up Dan Antonelli. You got a kick-ass brand. You got your guy Kellen. You got your Google popping for ranking. And then you got Lace.ai to rock through on the booking phone calls. Fifth thing, man, I know where you're going, so take it away.
Yeah, this was a little bit self-promotion, but
Dude, man, let's hear it. You dropped
know.
enough value.
So September 3rd through the 5th in Vegas and Mandalay Bay. If you go to freedomevent.com, we got Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary, Canadian as well.
Yep.
He's going to be kicking ass. I've got a really good guest coming. I don't even know if I'm supposed to say it. I'm not going to, but I'll tell you this. Last time we had about 1,200 people. This year we're expecting a couple thousand. And I'm going to make it so freaking out. It's going to be the most amazing event anybody's ever seen. My events are different than anything you've seen. Like we don't just fill it up with fluff and a bunch like I promise you, bring your CSR manager, bring your dispatch manager, bring your top sales guy, bring the office manager, and I'm going to show you guys how to compound your business. I can show you, and it's all math. It's all math. And this year I'm into three things. Like, how do I recruit better? And it's working. If I showed you my class, I did a 3.5 hour orientation. Get the best of the best. Train them the best. The marketing is what's grown A1 to a monster. Make the phone ring off the hook. And the vision and the fact that you've got gratitude for each and every person that works for you. And I'll show you how to do the equity incentive program. And I'll show you how we do the morning mojo calls, the Thursday morning meetings that kick butt. And I'm going to show you all the tools. We're a software company that does garage doors now. Like, we don't just use 3 or 4 softwares. I mean, we use Service Titan, UKG now for payroll. We use Monday.com for project management. I mean, it's software after software after software after software. We got all this stuff for even the way we track our fleet. So, and I could go in, and here's the coolest thing. Is I'll share this all with you guys. I mean, if we had a longer time, I'd keep going on all the people we use. I mean, we use our gas cards are called WEX. It keeps exact track of the gas we use. I mean, I can go on and on and on. The camera systems and then the software we use to record in the field, and I could go on. But
we got to get you back, man. And I'm just thinking, now that I know about your event well ahead of time, like, we're over 150 members now in our community. We should make a push to get a group coming to your event, man. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
I love that. And it's for you. What's cool is you can take them out one night and just have a little bit of like, here's what we're going to learn while we're here in Vegas. One thing I didn't love Vegas because people make it a drunk fest. Like, I will not be drinking that week at all. Like, I've really cut back. I'm not drinking for the next 6 months, but for me, it's like, don't come to this thing and say this is a vacation. Come and say this is a learning experience. The reason it had to be Vegas is there's a lot of people. There's hurricanes at that time in Florida and the Carolinas. California's upside down right now. I couldn't get anything big enough in Nashville, so it had to be Vegas. And I just hope if you come to this, I'd have a really open mind of learning, want to work out, want to do some fun stuff, but don't come and say we're going to party like it's 1999. If that's what you want, this isn't the event for you.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. We'll get that in our paid community. We'll link it up here on podcast, YouTube, and man, I think you're gonna blow the 2,000 number out of the water with this much runway, man. This episode will go out early in 2025. I think that's gonna be a great event. So thanks for sharing that.
Thank you. I really, I had a blast, man. And I just remember, like, look, everybody here should be investing in themselves. There's a reason people talk about your tribe, your clan, your group. there's a piece in people join YPO or EO or Young Entrepreneur Council or Vista or there's 21 whatever it's called, Tiger 21. Like when people are around each other and they find somebody to get motivated by and accountability partners, you need to find your group, man. You need to, and you need to find something that motivates you. So I'm glad you're doing what you're doing. You said you're having a great month. People need to get involved more and have people to look up to.
Yeah. Appreciate it, man. To wrap, where can people find you, man? Other than Googling Tommy Mello, where could they get access to you? Is it your Facebook group? Just tell us. We'll link it all up, but where's this the easiest place?
Yeah, so just go to Tommy Mello. There's no W in my last name. Tommy Mello, MELLO.com. You'll see a bunch of stuff. You'll see all my social media handles. If you go to TommyMello.com/shop, you can come do a shop tour. I don't charge for it. I don't sell you anything while you're here. It's a way for me to pay tribute to the people that work here that have built this company, and people opened the door to me when I was younger. So it's kind of paying it forward. But I spent a few hours answering questions and giving you a tour. We do several of them a month. I highly recommend you guys take advantage of that. Like I said, doesn't cost a penny. I'll feed you. I love the people that come in because typically people call me a month or two later, said you changed my life forever. And that to me is worth more than setting a record or anything. So, yeah.
Totally.
And I love this podcast, man. You're doing great. And I'm an honored to be on here.
Appreciate it, Tommy. We'll let you run, man. Thanks for stopping by and dropping some gold today, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate you.